hand move.
3 scary true Roblox horror stories. Hey everyone, it's me again. Before we dive into tonight's stories, I want to remind you to keep your lights on for this one. What I'm about to share with you are 3 deeply disturbing experiences that happened to real people while playing Roblox. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. It's just a game, right? But after hearing these stories, you might want to reconsider how safe you really are when you log in. These accounts were sent to me by subscribers who swear everything they experienced actually happened. So get comfortable, turn up the volume, and whatever you do, don't play alone tonight. Let's get started. Story 1. The User with No Face. This first story comes from a 17-year-old named Marcus from Ohio. Marcus had been playing Roblox since he was about 10 years old. It was his escape, his comfort zone, a place where he could build, explore, and hang out with friends after school. He'd seen the platform evolve over the years, watched games come and go, and considered himself pretty knowledgeable about how everything worked. But last October, something happened that made him question whether he ever really understood what was lurking in the darker corners of the platform. It started on a Friday night. Marcus had just gotten home from a football game, tired, but too wired to sleep. He booted up his PC, logged into Roblox, and started scrolling through his friend list to see who was online. That's when he noticed something strange. At the very bottom of his friend list was a user he'd never seen before. The username was just a string of random characters, something like X_X_. It was hard to even read properly. The characters seemed to glitch on his screen. Marcus stared at the name for a moment. He didn't remember adding anyone recently, and this username didn't look like anything a normal player would choose. His profile picture was completely black. No avatar image, no icon, just a void. Marcus felt a small chill creep up his spine, but he shook it off. Probably just some hacker kid trying to be edgy, he thought. He was about to ignore it when he noticed the user's status. It read, "I can see you, Marcus." His stomach dropped. How did this person know his real name? His Roblox username was completely different, just a variation of his favorite sports team and some numbers. He never used his real name anywhere on the platform. Marcus's heart started beating a little faster. He clicked on the profile, hoping to find some clue about who this person was, but the profile page wouldn't load. Instead, his screen flickered, and for just a split second, he saw what looked like a face, pale, distorted, with hollow black eyes staring directly at him through the monitor. Marcus jerked back from his desk, his chair rolling across the room. "What the hell?" he whispered to himself. He rubbed his eyes, convincing himself he'd just been staring at the screen too long. But when he looked back, the profile was gone. The user had vanished from his friend list entirely, like they were never there. He sat there in silence, his room feeling too quiet, too empty. The only sound was the hum of his computer fan. He tried to laugh it off, telling himself it was probably just a glitch, maybe some weird bug in the system, but deep down, he knew something wasn't right. He decided to just play a game and forget about it. He joined one of his favorite horror experiences, an abandoned asylum game that he'd played dozens of times. It was usually fun, a good way to get some jump scares and mess around with friends, but tonight the game felt different. The hallways seemed darker, the ambient sounds more oppressive, and Marcus was completely alone. No other players had joined the server. He wandered through the empty corridors, his avatar's footsteps echoing off the virtual walls. Then he heard it. Another set of footsteps. But they weren't coming from behind him or ahead of him. They were perfectly synchronized with his own, like someone was walking directly inside him, matching his every move. Marcus stopped. The footsteps stopped. He took a step forward. The second set of footsteps moved with him. "Okay, this is freaking me out," Marcus muttered. He checked the player list. It still showed only one player. But he could hear it, clear as day. Someone was there. Then, in the chat box, a message appeared. "Turn around." Marcus's blood went cold. He didn't want to turn around. Every instinct in his body told him not to, but his hand moved almost on its own, dragging the mouse to rotate the camera. And there, standing directly behind his avatar, was another player, But this wasn't a normal avatar. It had no face, literally. Where the face should have been, there was just a smooth, blank surface, like someone had erased it. The avatar wore all black, and its limbs were elongated, too long to be natural, even by Roblox standards. The username above its head was the same glitched string of characters from his friend list. Marcus tried to move, but his avatar wouldn't respond. It was like he'd been frozen in place. The faceless avatar started moving closer, gliding across the floor without any walking animation. It moved like something that didn't belong in the game, something that shouldn't exist. Marcus slammed his finger on the escape key, desperate to leave, but nothing happened. The pause menu wouldn't open. He couldn't disconnect. The faceless avatar stopped directly in front of him, so close that their models were almost touching. And then, slowly, it tilted its head to the side, as if studying.
Story 2: The Developer's Last Game. This next story was sent to me by a girl named Emily, who's 19 and lives in California. Emily had always been into game development. She'd taught herself how to script in Lua, how to build environments in Roblox Studio, and had even published a few small games that got decent attention. She was proud of her work, and she loved being part of the creator community. But last summer, she stumbled across something that made her want to quit developing forever. Emily was browsing through the Roblox website late one night, looking for inspiration for her next project. She liked to explore obscure, unpopular games, the ones with only a handful of visits, the hidden gems that never got the attention they deserved. That's when she found it, a game called The Last Broadcast. It had only been visited 12 times, and it was published by a user named Dev Morrow. The game's thumbnail was completely black, with just a faint image of a radio tower in the distance. Something about it intrigued her. The description was simple: listen closely, don't ignore the signs. Emily clicked on it and loaded into the game. The moment she spawned in, she felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The environment was dark, darker than any game she'd seen on Roblox. She was standing in the middle of an empty field with dead grass and leafless trees scattered around. The sky was a sickly gray, and there was no music, no ambient sound, just silence. It was suffocating. She started walking, her avatar moving slowly across the barren landscape. In the distance, she could see the radio tower from the thumbnail, its red light blinking on and off in a slow, rhythmic pattern. Emily headed toward it, the only point of interest in this desolate world. As she got closer, she started hearing something. It was faint at first, barely audible, a low hum like static from an old television. But the closer she got to the tower, the louder it became, until it was almost unbearable. When she finally reached the base of the tower, she saw a door. It was old, rusted, and slightly ajar. Emily hesitated. Every part of her wanted to leave, to close the game and forget about it, but she was curious. She opened the door and stepped inside. The interior of the tower was a narrow staircase, spiraling upward into darkness. The static was louder now, mixed with something else. Whispers. She couldn't make out what they were saying, but they sounded desperate, pleading. Emily climbed the stairs, her unease growing with every step. The walls were covered in strange symbols, drawn in what looked like red paint or blood. She tried to tell herself it was just good game design, just atmosphere, but it felt wrong. It felt too real. At the top of the stairs, she found a small room. In the center of the room was a desk with an old computer on it. The screen was on, displaying lines of text, scrolling rapidly, too fast to read. But then the scrolling stopped. A message appeared. "You shouldn't be here, Emily." Her real name. Again, just like in Marcus's story. Emily's hands started shaking. She hadn't told anyone her name. Her username was something completely random. How did the game know? Another message appeared. "He tried to warn you, but you didn't listen." Emily's throat tightened. She typed "who" into the chat. even though she knew she probably wouldn't get an answer. But she did. Dev Morrow. The screen on the in-game computer flickered and changed. Now it was showing a video. It was security camera footage, grainy and dark, showing a bedroom. Someone was sitting at a computer, their back to the camera. They were typing frantically, their shoulders tense. Then the person stopped. Slowly, they turned to face the camera. Emily's heart nearly stopped. The person's face was pale, gaunt, with dark circles under their eyes. But what terrified her most was the expression, pure, unfiltered terror. The person's mouth moved, like they were trying to say something, but no sound came out. Then the screen went black. The video ended. Emily was breathing hard, her hands gripping the edge of her desk. She exited the tower and tried to leave the game, but the leave button didn't work. She was trapped. Panic set in. She tried Alt F4, tried restarting Roblox through Task Manager, but nothing worked. The game wouldn't let her go. Then her avatar started moving on its own. She wasn't touching the keyboard, wasn't moving the mouse, but her character began walking back across the field, away from the tower. Emily watched, helpless, as her avatar approached a part of the map she hadn't explored yet. There in the distance was a small house. The windows were dark and the door was wide open. Her avatar walked inside. The interior was a perfect replica of a bedroom, and Emily recognized it immediately. It was the same bedroom from the video, the same desk, the same computer, the same camera angle. Her avatar stopped in the center of the room, and the camera rotated to face the computer screen. On the screen was a message, "I'm still here." And then Emily saw it. In the reflection of the in-game computer screen, behind her avatar was a figure, tall, shadowy, with no discernible features, just standing there, watching. Her real computer screen flickered. For a split second, her actual desktop appeared, and she saw the same figure reflected in her own monitor, standing behind her in her real room. Emily screamed and threw herself out of her chair, spinning around to look behind her. Nothing. Her room was empty. She looked back at the screen. The game had closed itself. Roblox was shut down, but there on her desktop was a new file. It was titled thankyou.mp4. She didn't want to open it. Every fiber of her being told her to delete it, to never look at it, but she couldn't help herself. She double-clicked, and the video was short, only about 10 seconds. It showed the same bedroom from the game, but this time it was empty. No avatar, no figure, just the room. And then written across the screen in shaky handwriting were the words, "He's with you now." Emily deleted the file immediately. She uninstalled Roblox, cleared her cache, did everything she could to erase any trace of that game. She even tried to report Dev Morrow's profile, but when she searched for it, the account didn't exist. The game didn't exist. It was like it had all been wiped from the platform. But Emily knows it was real, because ever since that night, she's felt like she's being watched. She'll be sitting at her computer, working on schoolwork or watching videos, and she'll catch a glimpse of something in her peripheral vision, a shadow just out of sight. And sometimes, late at night, she'll hear the static, that same low hum from the game, coming from somewhere in her room. She hasn't been able to find the source. She doesn't develop games anymore. She doesn't even play them, because whatever Dev Morrow unleashed in that game, it's still out there. And Emily is terrified that it's not done with her yet.
Story 3. The Party That Never Ended. This final story comes from a 16-year-old named Tyler from Texas. Tyler was a pretty social guy, both online and offline. He had a tight-knit group of friends he played Roblox with almost every night, people he'd known for years through the platform. They'd voice chat on Discord while playing, cracking jokes, and just having a good time. It was their routine, their way of unwinding after school. But one night, Tyler joined a party he was never supposed to find. And what happened there changed everything. It was a Saturday in late November. Tyler and his friends were hopping between different games, looking for something new to try. One of his friends, a guy named Jake, sent a link in their Discord chat. Yo, check this out. Found this weird private server. No idea what it is, but it looks sick. Tyler clicked the link. It took him to a game called The Midnight Party. The thumbnail showed a mansion at night, with all the lights on and balloons visible through the windows. It looked like a typical Roblox hangout game, maybe a role play or a vibe game, nothing special. But the description was odd. You're invited. Don't leave before midnight. Tyler shrugged and joined. So did the rest of his friends. There were 5 of them in total. They all spawned inside the mansion, and immediately Tyler could tell this wasn't a normal game. The lighting was too dim, the colors were slightly off, and there was an eerie, distorted version of party music playing in the background. It sounded like a birthday song slowed down and played backwards. "Dude, this is creepy as hell," Jake said over Discord, laughing nervously. The mansion was huge. There were multiple floors, dozens of rooms, and decorations everywhere. Streamers, balloons, confetti. But there were no NPCs, no other players, just the 5 of them. They started exploring, going from room to room, making jokes about how weird it all was. But the longer they stayed, the more unsettled Tyler felt. Something about the game was wrong. It felt alive. They found a dining room with a long table set for dinner. There were plates of food, but the food looked rotten, moldy, like it had been sitting there for years. In the center of the table was a birthday cake with lit candles. The candles were all black, and the frosting on the cake read, "Happy Birthday, Tyler." Tyler stopped moving. His friends went silent. "Bro, why does it say your name?" one of them asked, his voice shaky. Tyler didn't answer. He was staring at the cake, his mind racing. How did the game know his name? His Roblox username was nothing like his real name. He'd never shared personal information on the platform. "This is some hacker stuff, man. We should leave," Jake said. But when they tried to leave, the exit door was locked. In fact, all the doors were locked. They were trapped inside the mansion. Tyler tried to reset his character, hoping it would respawn him outside. But when he did, he respawned in the same spot. The game wouldn't let them out. Then the lights went out. The entire mansion plunged into darkness, and the music stopped. The only sound was their panicked voices over Discord. "What the hell is happening?" someone yelled. Tyler's screen was almost completely black. He turned on his avatar's flashlight, and that's when he saw them. Figures, dozens of them, standing throughout the mansion, perfectly still. They were other players, but their avatars were all identical. Gray skin, hollow eyes, and wearing tattered party hats. They looked like corpses, and they were all staring at Tyler. "Do you guys see this?" Tyler whispered. "See what?" Jake responded. "I don't see anything. My screen's just black." Tyler's heart sank. He was the only one who could see them. The figures started moving, slowly, all converging toward his location. He ran, sprinting through the dark hallways, his flashlight barely illuminating the path ahead. He could hear footsteps behind him, dozens of them, getting closer. He ducked into a room and slammed the door shut. His breath was ragged, his hands trembling on the keyboard. The room he was in appeared to be a child's bedroom. There was a small bed, toys scattered on the floor, and drawings on the walls. But the drawings were disturbing. Stick figures with X's in eyes, a house on fire, and one drawing that made Tyler's blood run cold. It was a picture of 5 people standing outside a mansion. 4 of them had their faces scribbled out. The 5th one, standing in the center, had a name written above it. Tyler. A message appeared in the chat.
The party is for you. Don't be rude. Tyler tried to respond, tried to ask who was doing this, but his keyboard wouldn't work. He couldn't type. He couldn't move. His avatar was frozen in place. Then the door to the room slowly creaked open. The gray figures filed in, one by one, surrounding him. They didn't attack. They didn't move. They just stood there, staring. And then one of them spoke, not through text chat, through his headset, a distorted, crackling voice that sounded like it was coming from an old radio. "You came to the party, Tyler. Now you have to stay." Tyler ripped off his headset, his chest heaving. He could still hear the voice faintly coming from the speakers. He muted his computer, but it didn't stop. The voice was everywhere. On Discord, his friends were freaking out. "Tyler, what's going on? Your character's just standing there. Are you okay?" Tyler couldn't respond. He was paralyzed with fear, staring at his screen as the gray figures closed in around his avatar. Then his monitor flickered and the game closed itself. But when it did, a new window opened. It was a countdown timer. It read 11:47 p.m. Tyler glanced at his phone. It was 11:47 in real life. The timer was synced with the actual time. A message appeared below the timer. "Stay until midnight. If you leave, they come for you." Tyler didn't know what to do. He sat there frozen, watching the timer tick down. His friends were calling his name on Discord, but he couldn't bring himself to answer. The minutes crawled by, 11:50, 11:55, 11:59. His room felt colder, darker. He could swear he heard footsteps in the hallway outside his bedroom door. 11:59. Tyler held his breath, his eyes locked on the screen. The timer hit midnight, and then everything stopped. The countdown disappeared. His computer returned to normal. The voice was gone. Tyler let out a shaky breath, relief washing over him. But it wasn't over. The next morning, Tyler woke up to a notification on his phone. It was a friend request on Roblox. The username was Midnight Party Tyler. He declined it immediately, blocked the account, and reported it. But the requests kept coming. Different usernames, but always with the same format. Midnight Party Tyler, The Party Waits for Tyler, Tyler's Last Party. He stopped using Roblox entirely. He told his friends he was done with the platform, didn't give them a full explanation. But even now, months later, Tyler still gets the notifications. Friend requests, messages, invitations to games, all from accounts he's never seen before, all referencing the party. And the worst part? He started noticing something in his house. Small things at first. Party decorations appearing in places they shouldn't be. A balloon in his closet, confetti on his desk. He never bought them. His family denies putting them there, but they keep showing up. Tyler's terrified that the party isn't over, that whatever he encountered that night is still trying to bring him back. And he's afraid that one night he won't have a choice. The party will come to him. So there you have it, 3 absolutely chilling stories from the world of Roblox. Marcus and the faceless user, Emily and the developer's last game, and Tyler and the party that never ended. These stories remind us that sometimes the scariest things aren't the games themselves. It's what might be hiding inside them, watching, waiting for the right moment to reach through the screen. If you've had a similar experience, or if you've encountered something on Roblox that you can't explain, send me your story. I read every single one. And who knows, maybe yours will be featured in the next video. Until then, stay safe, lock your doors, and whatever you do, think twice before accepting that friend request from a user you don't recognize. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.